Multiple WWE stars have been trying to scrap their Def Rebel themes. A WWE talent is to be on the receiving end of a big push, and an ex-WWE Women's Champion returned on last night's TNA IMPACT. It's time for the news. So we have just seen the 2025 iteration of the Royal Rumble, and lots of superstars coming out and lots of fans not knowing who they were. And there is one unit to blame, and that unit is Def Rebel, of course. According to a new report from Fightful Select, multiple WWE wrestlers have attempted to revert to their previous entrance songs. They want rid of Def Rebel. They've been citing concerns over quality and the connection that those songs bring to the audience.
It was very, very clear, I think, this year with Finn Balor. He's making a return after being off screen for like a couple of weeks. And no one recognized it was Finn until he actually walked out from the entranceway. And that's such a shame. He's been on the main roster for 10 years at this point.
Former world champion.
Former world champ. Yeah. And then, you don't recognize him because his music's pretty crap. And it was even worse last year with Seth Rollins in the crowd and there's cameras on him. And even he's not recognizing who's walking out at the Rumble. I'm not surprised they want to get rid of this music. It all sounds the same. It's just generic guitar riff with a catchphrase at the start. Bring us back to the days of, CFOS. I remember when they got ribbed at the start.
You're so young. Crap. You're so young.
Jim Johnson's the best.
Johnson, it is absolutely baffling that they're still around. And you never want to wish anybody to get sacked or anything, but they're really bad at their jobs.
Really let's not. We can't sugarcoat it. They don't do good entrance themes. That doesn't feel like the music has any cohesion with the talents that they're associated with.
Yep.
It feels like they've had this gig a little bit too long and they've just got a bit complacent in the entrance music they're producing. But it wasn't good at the start.
They've got a tough job, right? I remember watching Beyond the Mat, we'll have all seen it, and Jim Johnson's there. And first of all, he's talking about, the connection between the theme music and the wrestler who's making their entrance. Notably Vader coming out, and he's talking through it. Really, really great thing. And also, they have to pump out a lot of these theme music. It's a difficult job for sure, but they just seem to be really, really bad at it, and it is frustrating because every time, and I feel like a bad wrestling fan when this happens, but I'm waiting for the name to pop up on the Tron.
Yeah, that's it. You wait for the name or the person to actually walk out and the camera to pan to them.
Shouldn't be that way.
It's almost like every single time it's Royal Rumble 2016 with AJ Styles' entrance, and you don't recognize the music, but they've been on the roster for 10 years. Yeah. You shouldn't have this. They don't feel like wrestling fans to me, and they just don't get what the music needs to be.
It must be some sort of contractual thing or something. Like Triple H is perpetually online. He knows that the criticism, and it's been years. We've been complaining about this stuff for years. This isn't a recent thing. And I think it's the one thing with WWE's production that they're really letting us down with, because WWE production, and it's such an important part of it, the sort of the presentation of the wrestlers and how things look and sound and feel, and it's just terrible. According to the report, wrestlers have had little to no creative input when working with Def Rebel, no direct collaboration on their themes. WWE have attempted to implement new themes for certain superstars, but in some instances talent have actually pushed back on this and they resisted those changes. Not surprised.
That was, I believe a Randy Orton one was he was maybe perhaps going to get a remix of voices from them, and he just went, No, I'm Randy Orton.
Why would you mess with something that's been that way for so long and is so recognizable? It's iconic. It's an iconic theme.
The chaos if Triple H came out with a Def Rebel version of the game.
Right, he's not done it to himself.
He's not done it to himself, so that's the next step.
Right, over to the NXT side of things. The WWE talent is to receive a big push, according to a report during WrestleVotes Radio on Sportskeeda Backstage. We are talking about the greatest general manager in all of pro wrestling history, Ava. What do they say?
It says on WrestleVotes, saying creative has begun putting plans in motion for NXT general manager and, of course, the real-life daughter of The Rock.
Is she?
She's the rich. I know, I'm shocked.
No.
Ava to be featured more prominently on TV, as well as have merchandise and character ties to her father, alluding to his final boss persona. We saw a little glimpse of this when he was on NXT. It's weird to think The Rock was even on an episode of NXT, but he was. When he acknowledged to Ethan Page, you've got to go through her because she's the final boss of NXT. I felt like that point, that was the tease then. The report continues saying, we're told plans could include her playing off the Final Boss character on TV as a way to raise her importance. Ava, from all accounts, is well liked and could have a big future with the company. I'm not surprised. Her dad is on the board.
Yes, and she's also very talented.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
She's got better. I could do without seeing her in the ring, and I think she's perhaps a little bit overexposed in NXT sometimes. Like she's on the shows a fair bit.
Quite a bit. Yeah, she's sort of. Yeah, I mean, she's the general manager, so you kind of expect that from some people in that role. But the good thing about NXT is it is still developmental. As much as they are trying to push it as a third brand now, it is developmental, and maybe she's just not found the right aspect of the character. Her dad is The Rock, and maybe
Stop saying it.
Maybe he'll give her some guidance and some help with this new character shift, and sort of aiming towards hey, let's look at inspiration from your dad rather than not reference it at all until we get little winks.
To me, she always just felt very uneasy on camera, and I don't want to be too harsh because she's so young and everything, and she's doing her best, and she's obviously there because her dad is The Rock, and that's totally fine. But I think she is showing improvement. It'll be interesting to see what this big push turns out to be. I won't be buying an Ava t-shirt personally.
No.
But just a reminder, her dad is The Rock. Mercedes Moné is returning to the Indies for the first time in 13 years. This was first reported on Fightful. She's coming to House of Glory. She's not wrestled on the Indies since 2012, would you believe?
Wow.
The press release states, House of Glory officials have announced that AEW Women's TBS champion Mercedes Moné will headline the March 15th show at the NYC Arena. It's going to be streaming live on Triller TV. The current AEW champion and former WWE champion makes her first indie appearance since 2011. They got that wrong. I checked Cage Matches 2012. The CEO has set her sights on one of the biggest wrestling promotions in the country now on Saturday, March 15th, etc., etc. So, I mean, it's cool. I can't believe it's been that long, but of course it has.
Of course, yeah. It's strange to think that this is her return to the independents, despite currently holding an independent championship for Rev Pro. She's the British women's champion at the moment with Rev Pro.
But yeah, she won the title.
She won the title, not on a Rev Pro show. So she is an independent champion, just not currently working in the independents. But it looks like obviously this is her big return. I'm intrigued to see how it goes across to the audience. Obviously, she's now she's a big superstar. Will she have this big welcome return to the Indies, or will she continue to play this heel character and be bigger than all of that, essentially?
Yeah, I think, I mean, if you're spending $30 on a ticket, you're going to be excited to see Mercedes on the Indies. So I think she'll get a big reaction. I think the really good thing about this is she's not going to have to cut a lengthy promo or anything. I love her matches. So
she's great in the ring.
It's a good place to see her, actually. We finish off with the news that a formerly retired, I guess, ex-WWE Women's Champion has returned to wrestling on last night's TNA Impact. The fantastically underrated, awesome Jazz entering the Knockouts #1 contender Battle Royal as a surprise entrant. She last wrestled for TNA in 2021 and then officially retired. She's not had a match in about 4 years, eliminated by Ash by Elegance, rather. And Rosemary, she is the bollocks.
She's great, right?
I talk about underrated women's wrestlers, and to me she was just in completely the wrong era, because she was legit, wasn't she? It's her, Victoria, Jacqueline, three people that I think don't get enough respect. Her stuff in ECW, Jazz's stuff in ECW was bonkers good, and it was great to see her back. To me, this appears it's like a one-off Rumble spot, isn't it?
It feels like a one-off Rumble spot. We did
return.
see her run in TNA, I think it was back in 2020 to 2021, and she had a good run then, and she was given the respect that she maybe wasn't given for so long. But yeah, it does feel like this is a one-off return. She's retired. She's been doing some great stuff with the NWA as an agent and a producer. I feel like we'll see her continue that rather than a full-time return. Just a cool moment to get her back in the ring for one night, though.
It was. Put some respect on Jazz's name. She's the best. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I've been Adam.
I've been Fraser.
And we'll be back with some more news in a little bit.